Well, it's good to see some familiar faces that have been to some of my presentations before, so I guess I don't really suck too bad. And it's glad to see some new faces as well. So we are going to talk today about onboarding. It's a problem that we have at our company, and I think it's a problem probably that most people have. I'm glad to see a lot of people here today. Honestly, I thought they were going to cut the room in half, and I was going to have a smaller crowd, so this is good. So my wife thinks I don't have any friends, so I can tell her I was with a lot of my friends today, so that always works out well. Yeah, I think we all know where we're at today. So that tells you a little bit about who I am, so you can take a few seconds and read through there. I have done a lot on the executive recruiting, headhunting side, as well as, of course, on the corporate side. So I have experience on both ends. So I've screwed people for many years, and now I'm trying to help people. And if there's headhunters in the room, I apologize. Okay, so, and if you believe all that stuff up there, then again, I can tell you a lot of other stories as well, too. For those that have been to my presentations before, I'm very casual, very informal. I don't like to use a podium. I like to walk around. If I see people sleeping, I'll smack them a little bit. Trouble. But please, if you have any questions, I want to hear your thoughts. I want you to share. I don't know everything on the subject. I'm sure I can get a lot of good examples. I got some good examples from talking to even some of the vendors yesterday about onboarding. So if you have any questions, if you want to share something, scream it out, raise your hand, you know, whatever. These are some of the objectives we're going to talk about today. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about, you know, some of the different generations, Generation Y, some of the millennials. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I think we're pretty familiar with some of their traits. So we're going to talk about onboarding. We're going to talk about what makes an effective onboarding program, some of the steps that you can create at your company that makes hopefully a world-class onboarding process, and then talk about how really onboarding, employee engagement, employee retention, mentoring, they really all fit in as one. You can't really talk about one of those subjects without talking about the others. I also brought some handouts. I don't really think I brought enough for the whole crowd, so I think I have about 50. It's actually a new employee orientation checklist that you can use for people that you have hired at your companies. I made like 50 copies. So if anybody's interested, I don't want to pass that now. Wait, you can have one. So if anybody's interested, you can come up afterwards and feel free to grab one. And if they run out, just give me your card. I'll be more than happy if you give me $10 as well to send it out. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit, like I said, about Generation Y, millennials. You've all heard the stories, okay? They want this, they want that, they want this. They're not as worried about things like money, and they're not as worried about, you know, some of the things that older generations like me were really in need of and had desire for. So, you know, where's my phone? You know, where's my flex time? You know, where's this, where's that? A lot of different things that they want than some of the other generations. So, again, I'm not a big numbers person, but just real quick, you can see millennials will represent about 3/4 of our workforce by 2025. This is the thing that really worried me. They stay on the job an average of 3 years before leaving. So if you're not putting a lot of good procedures, policies, programs in place, they're not even going to last anywhere near that long. So you even have to be on top of your game sometimes just to hope that they're going to last 3 years. So hopefully some of the things that we'll go over today will get them to stay even longer than that. What really got me interested in this subject, I work for Brayman Construction. We're a heavy civil general contractor. We do like roads, bridges, geotech work. Who cares? I know. I started there about 7 years ago. And we had a problem that we found out through our exit interviews because we had a lot of people leaving. And a lot of the reasons they were giving for leaving was, well, I didn't really see a good career path. You know, I felt like that I was really disassociated, not engaged, pretty much from when I first started. You know, I didn't really have a career path. Some of the training wasn't that good. Some of the managers had a tendency to play favorites. You know, I just really wasn't really happy, and I kind of knew it from early in the process. So we were learning that from our exit interviews that we did with the people that were leaving. Now, of course, part of me was very happy with that since I'm a recruiter and a trainer. That's more people now I have to replace. But you know, you always want to replace people because you're growing, not because people are leaving. But that's what really got me interested in this subject and trying to do some things that would hopefully help with onboarding. Another thing that always helps is, I noticed she has a bottle of wine back there. You know, you get them drunk and then maybe they want to stay a little bit longer as well. But that didn't work too good. So you can see that they basically leave at a 2-to-1 greater margin compared to some of the older co-workers. The cost is $15,000 to $25,000 to replace. Whether you run an ad, whether you call a recruiter, whether it's downtime from those people not being on the job and being productive, whether it's my time and my salary, you know, you can basically go out and buy a car for what it costs to replace employees when they leave. Not to mention, obviously, the time costs. And of course, when they leave, you have morale problems, reputation problems, engagement problems, I mean, stress, productivity. Nobody's happy when people leave your company. I mean, it's as simple as that. It hurts your projects. It hurts processes. Other people wonder why are so many people leaving here? There's something that I'm missing. Why are all these people leaving my company? Okay, there's obviously reasons why they're not happy. So again, millennials, just real quick, they job hop unless they're given reasons to stay. They want a lot of flexibility. We had Lisa here yesterday from SHRM talking about flexibility in the workforce. That is a big issue with millennials. They want advancement now with perks. It used to be old geezers like me, they want advancement, and they're happy with that. But now the younger crowd, they want advancement, they also want other little perks that go along with that as well. They want to have some sort of a purpose and a goal. You know, when I first started working, I didn't really have much of a purpose or a goal. I was just happy to be working, getting a paycheck, going to work every day, having a place that I could go to. But nowadays, that's not enough. They want coaching, they want mentoring. They want the right role here, and they want it now, or if not, they're going to say bye-bye. We've been used to basically loyal employees who would stay for years. They were happy with the status quo. Stable salary was fine. You know, yearly review is great. Strong leader. So again, it's a shift. It's a paradigm shift of what we were accustomed to and what we're now used to. I mean, employee onboarding in the past was basically, here, come and sit down. Here's your work site here. Let's do some paperwork and start working. It doesn't work like that anymore. So we want them to stay. We want them to have meaningful work. They want to have meaningful work as well. That always helps. Again, they want to have flexibility. They want the mentoring and the coaching. They want to be engaged from day one. And I'll even go further than that as we go along. They want to be engaged from as soon as they say yes. They say yes, they're going to come to work for you. That's the one thing I learned as an executive recruiter. They weren't a yes until they were sitting in that seat on the first day. That 2-week or 3-week, whatever that period was, you know, you could lose them in that time frame if they weren't engaged from then. You know, the old dreaded counteroffer and such. And they want to have a career path. So yeah, that's my private jet. So effective onboarding. Numbers don't lie. 35% of all new hires quit in their first 6 months. 60% quit as a direct result of a quick post-hire shock. Okay, I've been married 3 times. And that's similar to that. I get married and I go into shock. What the hell did I do? That's what employers do. Don't tell my wife, Dave.
Got it.
You know, I don't want to have to go for number 4. I'm too old. That's the same thing with workers. Oh my God, I just signed on the dotted line. I just committed to go to work for this company. What did I do? What did I do? They go into shock. Just like when you have a major purchase. They do the same thing. So you have to make sure that you lessen that shock, lessen that burden for them. 50% of employees believe their company's onboarding process is inadequate, while 20% say they have no formal process. How many of your companies have a formal onboarding program? Raise your hand. So that's maybe about 1/3 to 1/2. So, and I'm not even saying you have to have formal versus informal. Talked about that a little bit yesterday with the mentoring, if any of you were in that session. But you need to have something in place, okay? Else the people are going to leave. Effective onboarding, we talked about the relationships, is the first and most important step leading to an engaged and retained workforce. If you don't get them in right, they're not going to be engaged and they're not going to stay. Starts early. Begin day one, and yes, these are all things we're going to break down here in the next 45 minutes or so. That you have to begin day one, as we said, as soon as they say yes. You have to have a knockout first day. You want to do a meet and greet. You want to make sure they're motivated. You want to communicate, training, coaching, mentoring, feedback, career path and goals, retention tools, engagement, and automation. And we're going to spend time, a couple minutes with each of these subjects. Okay? Fortunately or unfortunately, I tried to put a video in here, but I'm not very technically inclined. So when I put it in, it works well on my computer, but it doesn't work in here. I could have went out my laptop, but I didn't. But for those of you that can picture that scene, I was going to play that scene within about 1.5 minutes. Now, I was thinking maybe I could ask if anybody wanted to volunteer, but then I thought that I might get in trouble with an HR conference. But for those of you that know me, that shouldn't be surprising. While I am in HR, and I am, you know, into it 100%, in my neighborhood that I live, I'm actually called Captain Inappropriate. So you never know sometimes what's going to come out of my mouth. But just take 5 seconds and picture that. Corey's there like, oh my God, we let him loose. But just take 5 seconds and again, just picture that scene. That's good enough. Okay, so you want to create a knockout first day. You want to have fun. I was talking with one of the vendors out there yesterday, and when a person starts at their company, the first day that they actually come into work, not only, of course, do they have their workstation set up nice, but they have a bottle of wine waiting for them. And they have a gift basket waiting for them. So, gee, what kind of an impression is that going to make if I sit down at my desk on the first day, and there's a nice little gift basket, and there's a bottle of wine? I didn't ask them whether they actually get to use that on their first day. I'm guessing probably not. But again, you want to start setting the tone early. What kind of, if you get that, you got a lot to live up to if you're doing that on your first day. But if you're able to maintain that, just think what kind of an impression you're going to have. So let me ask, is there anybody that wants to share maybe some things that your company does that separate yourself, you think, from some of your competitors on a first day for people? Anybody? You're all boring, you don't do anything?
We always take them out to lunch.
Okay, that's always a good thing. Take them out to lunch. Anybody else? Just screaming out. Go ahead.
Well, I can tell you what they did for me even before my first day,
Okay,
which
great.
I think is even more impactful. The hiring manager's manager, who was the DVP of HR, sent me flowers to my home saying welcome to the organization. Wow. So I was sold at that point. Sold.
That's always, yeah, that's great. Again, that goes back to what we said, even start before they start. Last time we got flowers of my own, they were for my wife and they weren't for me. Yeah, you want to create a knockout first day and try to have a little bit of fun. Like I work in a construction company, and I'm kind of like the oddball in the construction company. I don't like to hunt. I don't like to fish. I don't like a lot of that construction-y, manly kind of stuff that they like to do. So people, when I first started, looked at me a little strange and funny anyway. So I try to interject a little bit of humor. I try to get people to feel more comfortable, get them to feel at home that they want to work, because not everybody's cut from that same mold. So you have to know how to deal with people. But again, it never hurts to have a little bit of fun. Somebody mentioned, picking out the lunch. That's an important part as well. Meet and greet. You always want to have a meet and greet when a person starts on the first day. And when I say meet and greet, it's not like, okay, I'm going to pull you aside here. You're going to come meet her, you're going to meet her, you're going to meet him, you're going to meet her, and then 5 minutes later, you're not going to remember any of their names anyway. Okay? A meet and greet should be where everybody that's going to directly impact this individual that just started takes the time, caring, and the effort to actually go and sit down and spend 5 or 10 minutes with her. So you need to have her boss come in. You need to have, if it's appropriate, that person's boss come in. You need to have an owner come in. All the important key players that are going to be having to interface with this new employee should take the time and actually come and visit that person. Spend some time. This is who I am. This is how we're going to interact. Hopefully you met most of them during the interview process, but chances are if you did, you probably forgot most of them. So don't just parade them around like a cattle call at the fair, where you're just taking everybody around introducing, because they're not going to remember. It doesn't have any impact. You want to make sure that it's going to be impactful. So that meet and greet has got to have some meaning behind it. Motivation. How many of your companies have a career path video that you show new hires when they first start? Okay, even I can count that high. Have a video, have something that they can actually sit down and watch that is not just catered to them, it's going to be catered to pretty much anybody, so you don't have to do a video for everybody that comes in. But have a career path video, have one for every facet of your organization. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, it's going to take a little bit of effort and money, but would you rather spend a few $100s and some time now, or spend $20,000, $25,000 to replace that person? So if you have somebody starting in accounting, show them a typical career path for accounting that they might be able to experience when they're working for your company. In my case, like I said, they're in engineering, so we try to show them an engineering career path. Hey, you're starting off here as a project engineer. If you do such and such training and do this on the job site, you can move up to this level, then maybe go here, okay? Administrative, our shop and yard, we have different career paths for our laborers that even start. Okay, you could get into a QA, QC role, inspection role, you could possibly get into the union. There's a lot of different things. So they're not just starting and say, okay, here I'm starting this job, I'm here. Where can I go? How long am I going to be here? So having a nice career path video is something that always helps, and like I said, I think is a big plus. Communication, feedback. If I were to ask you what your main problem is that you feel in your company that you work for now, how many of you would say it's either communication or it boils down to something that deals with communication? Okay, so probably about half of you. That was the key thing that was really the problem within our company, was communication. We had poor communication. We had poor communication prior, and again, this is all stuff that I learned. We had pitiful job descriptions. People were coming into jobs, and they were even starting jobs, and they didn't have a good, really understanding of what they were going to do. So imagine how you feel starting a job on day one. It's like, yeah, I'm here, I guess I'm excited, but what's my role? What are my responsibilities? People came to work for us, they didn't even know what their roles and responsibilities were. The job descriptions were awful. They weren't really told it in interviews. I mean, let's get serious. How many managers in your companies that do the interviewing actually know how to interview well? Okay, not many. So you have to really give them that communication. So if they don't have job descriptions, if they have managers that don't know how to communicate well, if they don't really know what they're going to do, if they're sitting down from day one at a desk and saying, here, here's your phone, here's your computer, play around with it for a little bit. When you go home that first day and you talk to your significant other and explain your first day, how do you think it's going to go? Obviously, it's not going to go too well. And that, again, is already setting the seeds for not only the first day, but the first month, the first 3 months, the first 6 months. And usually, if you start off that way, you're going to start digging yourself even bigger hole. So you have to have communication. You have to have feedback. And it has to be personal in nature. How many of you have 30-day, some sort of performance evaluation for your new hires? Raise your hand. Okay, there's a few. How many of you have 90-day? How many of you have to wait until actually a year before you sit down and do some sort of a formal performance review with an employee? Okay, so it looks like we're maybe about 3 months or 6 months in that range there. Okay, you have to be communicating from day one. These are the goals. These are the expectations. This is how we're doing. If there's problems, obviously you'll address them as they arise, hopefully. At our company, when I first started, there were problems, and they weren't even being addressed. People were maybe not doing as well as they should on the job, weren't performing up to expectations, and nobody was telling them. So they get let go sometimes after 3 months or 6 months, and they thought things were going great. And here they're letting me go for performance, and gee, I thought I was doing a good job. That's because we were never really sharing what kind of a job they were doing. Or they would leave on their own. Gee, we thought you were happy. We thought things were great. Well, maybe if you would have taken the time to actually sit down with me, go over what you either expected or didn't expect, because I don't know what you expected, and give me a little bit more of a vision and some goals, then you would have known that I wasn't happy. Things should not be a surprise. I mean, you're all in HR, you know that if a person leaves, that really shouldn't catch you much by surprise. And if you let go of a person, it really shouldn't catch them much by surprise. But how many times does it? So communication and feedback is a problem that we all encounter every day, and we will encounter every day. But it's something that we really have to make sure that we nip in the bud. No booze. They'll start doing better. Training, coaching, and mentoring. I know we had a session on this yesterday, so I'm not going to get into details. But how many of your companies have some sort of a either formal or informal peer-to-peer mentoring, coaching type of program? Raise your hand. Okay, so probably about half. Okay, it is important. Study after study, this is one I quote up there from DDI, especially when, again, dealing with the millennials who are focused on, they crave coaching. It's not that they want coaching or they'd like to have coaching, they need it. And if they don't get it, they're going to leave. So you have to have coaching for them. You have to either introduce them to a formal peer-on-peer, where I'm going to be pretty much working with this young lady back and forth, okay? She'll hopefully take an interest in me. I'll take an interest in her. She would have already expressed an interest in doing this. And we're going to work together in some sort of a mentor-mentee type of a capacity. Or I start from day one, some point in my first week, you would have sitting down for me, Mr. My boss, and actually have written down, this is what you expect from me as far as training the first 90 days, the first 6 months, whatever the case might be. The handout that I have that you guys can grab here at the end, like I said, actually has a detailed plan written out. You need to sit down with that person and they know from pretty much the first week, okay, that in my first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, this is the training I'm going to get. I need this training. If I really want to go above and beyond, I can do this and do that. You have to map it out for them. I'm going to work with this gentleman here, and he's going to kind of be my guide. He's going to take me out to lunch maybe once a month. We're going to talk about some issues. We're going to talk about some problems. It doesn't have to be formal. It can definitely be informal, but someone I know that I can rely on and I can count on. Okay, you got to have that coaching. You have to set the expectations. And of course, that follows into career path and goals. How many of your companies, again, raise your hand, have actually formal career paths and goals set up for individuals in most cases that you would hire? Okay, so not too many. So how many, give me an example, do you have set career paths and goals at your company? Okay, so I'm sitting down here, it's my first day in the job, you're my boss. Tell me what I have to look forward to working for your company. Go ahead, tell me. Please, you look like a nice guy, but that's not going to handle it. Okay. I don't think I want to. How about yourself? That's fine. I don't mean to embarrass you, but that's the way we were. We had people that were getting hired, like I said, when I first started, they would sit down on day one and be like, wow, gee, like I said, I got this new job, I'm happy here. Well, my computer works, and my phone works. It looks like there's nice people working here. You know, I know what the company does, I'm pretty excited about that. Gee, I really don't know where I fit in. Where do I fit into this company? Yeah, they hired me as a project engineer. Yeah, they hired me as a cost accountant. Yeah, they hired me as a QA, and QC inspector. That's all fine and dandy, but what am I actually supposed to do? Where am I going to be 3 months from now? Where am I going to be a year from now? Where could I be 2 years from now? Okay, one of the things that we do now is actually have the video, as I said, and we actually have something in writing for them that could be, because they have to live up to their end of the bargain as well, but could be a possible career path that if they live up to their end of the bargain, they can experience working for our company. And we make sure in that usually first couple days or first week, some managers are a little bit slower, but we actually take the time and sit down with them and try to get them excited about what their future can be with us and what their career path could be. Okay? I don't know everybody's company and what industries, but I'm going to guess that most of your companies, most of your industries are similar to construction. They can be very cutthroat. You have people trying to steal your employees pretty much every day. Okay? They're looking on their own. There's a lot of darn good recruiters out there that are trying to recruit people. There's corporate recruiters like myself that are trying to raid my competition and find people myself, because that's what I learned how to do. Okay, so if you have people that aren't going to be happy and are not going to really have a goal or a career path or a vision, they're going to be very receptive to listen to those that are trying to prod them out of your company. And of course, they might not even be listening because they might be looking on their own anyway. And then you have to go through the whole process of trying to hire them. So you need to have something formal in place from every new hire. And I even encourage that you send that out to them before they even start so they can look over it. That actually breaks down in somewhat of detail what they have to look forward to. This is where you can be in 6 months. This is where you can be in a year. This is where you can be in 2 years. That'll get them a lot more excited to come into work on that first day. And again, that's what it all is all about, is trying to get them happy, trying to get them excited. They have to have goals. They have to have a career path. If they don't, they're not going to last long. Retention tools. Okay? Obviously, you can get them in the door. You can get them happy. Now you want to get them to stay. How many of your companies require that every employee has to have a certain amount of hours of training per year? Raise your hand. Okay, so about half. That is something that, if it's applicable to your company, is something that you should definitely do. You need to require that your employees have, whatever, 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours of training per year that'll be applicable to what they do and that'll help them advance within their career. And it has to be good, valid training that either you do in-house, or you send them out to some sort of an expert, or you have experts come into your company and do that training, and you have to get certificates, you have to have it documented, you want to start a training file, spreadsheet, whatever you have, and you want to insist that this is part of your performance evaluation as well, that if you don't hit these required amount of hours for training, it's going to impact your performance review, and it could also impact your money that you're going to make for your wall. On the other side, though, if you hit that training, if you can go above and beyond, if you go out of your way to become a mentor to somebody, that'll also be reflected in your performance review, could cause you to advance quicker, and could cause you, again, to have some nice financial or position-type gains a lot quicker than someone else. You always want to dangle that carrot that if they work harder and go above and beyond, they're going to be rewarded. So you want to have retention tools. At our company, we have performance-based bonuses, and to me, that's if you're able to be lucky enough to have bonuses, you want to have them geared towards performance. What really demotivates an employee quicker than anything else is if I'm working on a project with her, and him, and we're all together on a project, and I at least think, usually I know, that I've done 80% of the work, and they've maybe done altogether 20%, but yet when it comes to bonus times, everybody's recognized the same, we're getting the same, we're all getting applauded the same. That's a good way to demotivate somebody because, you know, that's a bunch of crap. You know, I should be getting more, I did this, I did that. So to me, a good bonus program should always be tied to performance. At our company, from day one, even I shouldn't even say from day one, when I first interviewed them, because I explained it to them, our performances, our raises, our whatever, are going to be performance-based. So you and I could do the same job, and you could be judged as doing this well, I could be judged as doing this well, your bonus will reflect that, your profit sharing will reflect that, your possible increase will reflect that, or mine, if I get it, it will reflect this. So you give them some motivation, you give them some drive to succeed, because yeah, they're getting more, but they also know that they're going to earn more because they worked hard. And that they're going to be able to get a quicker career path, you'll be able to advance quicker than I am. And that's one way, again, that you can show, gee, I know I do better work than Ron, and I'm glad now I just got promoted to project engineer, and he did. When I first started at our company, managers played favorites. So if you just happened to be the favorite one, the chosen one, the one that was liked, then usually you were going to be taken care of. Whereas you might not be the hardest worker, you might not be the best worker, you might not be the most productive worker, it didn't make any difference. Somebody liked you, you're going to be taken care of. And you always are going to have sometimes those biases. Okay, but whoever oversees the training for your company or the reviews have to try to make sure that's minimized as much as you can. It shouldn't be based on who you know, who likes you. It should be based on your performance and your productivity. So again, those are some retention tools. You want to keep these individuals. You want to keep them happy. So retention tools could be things such as training. You know, I visit a lot of colleges, and the one thing that the kids always say they really want more than anything else, what kind of training program do you have? What kind of learning do I have? What kind of tuition reimbursement do you have? What kind of training do you have internally? That's just as important, if not more important than them, what their first salary is in. Because they want to know where they can go, what their career path is going to be. So retention tools. I try to be creative in our company, and I'm usually shot down because construction companies aren't really that creative when it comes to like some sort of retention tools, ways that I can keep people happy, keep them motivated. Does anybody have any examples of things maybe you use in your company that's maybe not money, obviously, but other things that they know if they do a good job, there's some other tricks of the trade or other tools that you might use for retention? Anybody? I know it's after lunch, but my God, we can't all be that fast. Anybody? I'll look like, oh, haven't looked at me. Okay, well, like I said, there's a lot of things you can do tied towards training, towards money. I mean, our owner actually, for people that reach a certain level as far as their goals of production goals, training goals, things of that nature, he'll actually take people that reach certain levels, he'll take them on, I mentioned hunting, he takes them to like Montana or North Dakota or whatever, some oddball state like that, and they actually go hunting like this time of year. So that's always something that some of the people, especially he does it for a lot of the superintendents and the field people, they know that if they perform in the top level of their position that they're going to go with the owner, okay? I wouldn't want to go with him. No. But, you know, they go and they have fun. You know, they go bonding. They do stuff that probably an owner shouldn't be doing with, you know, other employees. But they have fun and people look forward to that every year. So little things like that will get people motivated, get them working harder for a little trip that lasts 5 days. Okay? For that surprise gift card. We do a lot of, sometimes we'll do surprise gift cards where if somebody goes above and beyond, they'll come into work one day and they'll see a little gift card waiting for them at their desk. So just little things like that are things that actually get people excited. And if you do get a gift card and you're married, don't tell your spouse, else you'll never get to spend it yourself. Automation. How many of you use paperwork and have to sit down with an individual on their first day and go over all their paperwork manually, or how many of you have a system set up, raise your hand, that they can do that online for the most part before they actually start? Anybody? And you're usually not going to be able to do everything, but for the most part. So there's a few people raised your hand. The more automated you can get the onboarding process, the training process, the review process, the better off you're going to be. I mentioned Kristen, she's our HR generalist. One of the things that we're looking to do now is try to automate a lot of this so that they can do a lot of this stuff before they actually start work, so that when they come in like they do now on the first day, I, who have to do it, don't have to spend 2 or 3 hours with each person going over all their paperwork. On most days, we've been doing a lot of hiring, trying to juggle sometimes 3 or 4 people in a day. Before I know it, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I haven't gotten no work done for the day. So we like to do it for selfish reasons, because I'm lazy, I don't want to do all that work. So we're in a process now of trying to automate our onboarding so that they can do a lot of that paperwork, get all their other testing done before they actually start, so that come day one, there's not much they have to do. We're also in the process of automating our training. We're putting it on our, and again, I'm not very IT savvy, our SharePoint, or whatever the heck they call that thing, system, so that people can actually go online, see what training is available, when the training is available, sign up online for that training, get reminders sent out online, it books the room online, it lets me know who's setting up for what training, so I know to go out and buy all the snacks or the goodies, and then I can deal online with the people that are going to be doing the instruction, help them with whatever lesson plans and things that they need, and basically it's all done from the comfort of their desk. They can sign up. They get their manager's approval, and then they're good to go for that training program. So instead of me having to send out 9 gazillion emails, it makes people feel more important. Sometimes I'll send them reminders, but they know that for their training, all they have to do is look here in this one particular spot, and with a couple other clicks, gee, I'm going to go to this training class next week, I'm going to go to this training class. So the more you can automate training, the better off you're going to be as well. And the same with reviews. How many of your companies, when you have reviews, raise your hand, people still have to fill out pieces of paper to actually do their reviews? Okay, so good majority. So how motivating is that? Okay, here I have this 5-page review form that now I have to fill out. I have to fill it out by a certain date, and I'm busy. I've got 9 million things to do, and then I have to get it to my boss, and hopefully he'll actually take the time and see it. Okay, that's what we were relying on. I haven't done a review in the last 3 years. That's pretty sad. At least they still keep raises, so it's fine. Because my manager, he's a good guy, I love him, but he's lazy. I am, unfortunately, not really his top priority. So he has a lot of these issues like we're dealing with here. So I write my review diligently every year, give it to him. He goes, oh yeah, I have it on my desk, we're going to do it, we're going to do it. 3 weeks later, oh yeah, I have it on my desk, we're going to do it. Whatever. So I don't even bother with him anymore, because I know he's not going to do it. So we've discussed these issues, we've discussed these problems, so Kristen and I are now working on getting our performance reviews tied in with raises, tied in with whether you mentored somebody, whether you coached somebody, whether you reviewed the people you were supposed to review, and we're in the process of automating our reviews now where the person can just go online, it goes to their manager, the manager has a deadline date that they have to review that person by, and then if they don't get it done, they know that that's going to impact their possible salary increases for next year, their possible bonus, their possible increase as far as job responsibility. So everybody knows they have to participate, or they will when we hopefully get this up and running, because there will be deadline dates drop dead dates, if it's not done, it's going to impact you here. So we were losing a lot of people at our company because we didn't have any strict program in place as far as the performance reviews. So people were writing them, some managers were doing them quick, some were never doing them. You want to demoralize a person to get them again so that they want to look elsewhere, don't give them a review. They'll be gone very quick. So again, if you can automate that process, you're going to be better off. So again, really, if you have effective onboarding program, you should make the people happier, so you increase their satisfaction. It leads to increased performance. I mean, how many of us don't want increased performance? It gets them more committed. So the happier they are, they're going to work harder, they're going to be more committed, they're going to have less stress, you're going to have less stress, and it'll lead to decreased turnover. So again, all these issues that we're talking about. And as we said earlier, there's many factors tied into that. So effective onboarding will lead to increased engagement and overall higher retention. If a person is happy, they're going to be satisfied, and if they're getting taken care of, starting with their onboarding, they're going to be more prone to volunteer for stuff. They're going to be more prone to work extra hours without really obviously having to be told. They're going to be more prone to take on extra responsibilities. If they're not happy, it's going to be, okay, it's 8 o'clock. Oh, now it's 5 minutes to 5. Okay, I get to leave in 5 minutes. That's good. The happy employees, the ones that are motivated, that you've made to feel like part of the team, darn, it's 20 to 6 already, and I'm still here. Well, I still have some stuff to do. But they're gladly going to do it because they know that they're going to be hopefully recognized for it. A couple things that some people sometimes confuse and that I want to make sure that I cover here. Please keep in mind that onboarding is not orientation. Can anybody tell me what I mean by that? Onboarding is not orientation. Anybody? Oh. Yes.
I think of orientation as your first day, and then that's over with. And onboarding is more of a continuous, get to know the organization.
Correct, yeah. When you have an orientation, most people think that, okay, this is what I'm going to do first hour, first 3 hours, first day, maybe 3 days, whatever the case might be, but then there's usually a finite stop or an end to it. With onboarding, as she said, it should be a continuous process. Like I said, the handout that I have here, that you guys are free to take or I'll send you, basically starts with a whole section of what you can do before the new employee arrives. Again, I wasn't going to go through this all today. You can take it and read it. But I mean, it talks about things like making sure they have all the company brochures and the literatures, maybe a video. Some companies use a video from their CEO or whoever, maybe their boss is, and they put together a little video and they actually send it out prior to the person starting. Personalized gifts for company wear. A lot of companies will send out shirts or other little gifts. We talked about the one company that gives wine the first day, just little things like that. We always make sure that we send out in our new hire packet with all the other stuff that they need, we always send out their job description and the hierarchy of who they're going to work with. So they come in from day one, they know what their description is, they know what their goals are, they know who they're going to work with. We give them an org chart, we give them our vision, we give them our mission statement, we give them a calendar of events and a schedule. This all goes out before the person actually starts to work. So this little handout will actually break down everything that you can do before a person starts. And then you should be working behind the scene to identify a buddy or a mentor. Of course, make sure their workstation, everything works. The most, again, demoralizing thing is you come in day one, you sit in your seat, oh, they don't have a login for me yet. Oh, I'm supposed to get a nice phone, it's not here, where's it at? Okay, that should be the easy stuff. So again, it starts before the person actually arrives. You have to send them stuff, you have to be working behind the scenes. Make sure their phone number, make sure their office, make sure they have business cards. Then I have a whole section here of what you should actually do on the first day of the job. Whether it be, again, the meet and greet, where people come in and meet this individual and take some time. Have somebody take them out to lunch. What type of videos? We show some different videos on the first day so that, again, they become more familiar with us, some of our projects. You all have probably something that you either build or manufacture or are involved in some way that gets you excited as a company. You need to share that the first day with that person. We show videos of some of our projects. We build bridges, so we'll show some of our large bridges we've done, some of the dams that we've done, things that are pretty neat that we actually get to show in visual form. And again, that gets them pretty pumped and it gets them pretty motivated to come to work for us. Give them a tour. Obviously explain where the supply cabin is, and you know, wherever you eat at, and the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff, and whatever else they need. Talk to them about training. Talk to them about mentoring that's available. Talk to them about the career path and the video that you would have for them. Go over other things like maybe safety and whatever else you might do. And then there's a section on here what you should do during the first week. There's a little section on here what you could do during the first month. And then I actually go up to within 6 months. So like I said, I wasn't going to go over this whole thing today, but going back to her answer, yeah, onboarding is continuous. I carry it up here 6 months, but really onboarding should be even longer than that, because training should always continue. Getting them motivated should always continue. Making sure they're happy should always continue. And more importantly, getting them to be involved in onboarding somebody else should be the next step in the process. Yeah, my quote-unquote onboarding is done. It was a great onboarding program. This young lady starting here tomorrow, I can't wait to be able to partner to help onboard her. I'm going to take some ownership. I'm going to take some pride in the company. Onboarding never ends. The onboarded now become the onboarders. Engaged employees are passionate, not necessarily happy. I think that's one of the big, in my opinion, misconceptions is we want everybody to be happy. Okay? You know, I always think we have to make this person happy, this person happy, this person happy. Okay? And when I first started for Raymond, I was always trying to think of ways, oh, I'm going to go to the owner, this will make this person happy, this will really make this person happy. And again, working in a construction company, I'm up to typical construction. And I would tell my owner, hey, we should do this, this will make this, we should do this. And his response to me, and again, I don't mean to offend anybody here, so I apologize in advance, but remembering the mentality of the company that I work for, my owner would say to me, let your feminine side come out. I don't pay you to have your feminine side come out. Okay? Because I was worried about people being happy and satisfied and motivated, and that's not what he wanted. So, have I changed his mentality? Yeah, some. Is he a total, 360, whatever? No, but he's making strides as far as realizing the importance of a lot of these issues we talked to today, so that when I come to him with some ideas, and when I come to him with some notions that I think will help, I don't get the snide comments anymore. But I've also realized that just because a person's happy doesn't mean they're going to be a great performer, a great worker, that they're going to stick around. Okay, they don't necessarily have to be happy, but they have to be passionate. They want to like, you have to have them like what they want, what they're doing. They have to enjoy coming to work every day. They have to be motivated and passionate about doing it. Are they happy about everything in your company? No, nobody's ever going to be. So stop worrying about everybody being happy. Make sure they're passionate about what they do, that they care about the results, that they're engaged, and that they are concerned about the company and moving up. They don't necessarily always have to be happy. Engagement is a dialogue. Again, it's a back and forth, it's a give and take. If you want somebody to be engaged, it's got to work both ways. They have to reciprocate, and they have to know that. You can't just be throwing stuff out to them. They got to in turn throw some stuff back to you. Do some training, do some mentoring, go above and beyond on the job site, on the manufacturing floor, in the plant, in the hospital, whatever the case might be. Engagement is not done to, nor truly defined, but it's a culture. Okay? You have to create a culture of engagement within your company. Everybody has to be a part of it. It can't be a case of, okay, I'm going to try to trap him, I'm going to try to trap her, I'm going to try to convert her, I'm going to make her. It's got to be a culture that everybody does it and people just fit in naturally and flow naturally into the culture. And not everybody's going to fit, and you'll be able to find that out shortly, that if a person's not going to fit the culture, then you're either going to let them go or they're going to realize that and they're going to let themselves go. If you don't have a culture, though, and you don't have a culture of engagement, everybody's going to want to leave because they see that there is no culture of engagement here. People are hit and miss, going wherever they want, they're not happy. That's not the kind of place that I want to work for. This, again, is something that I kind of put together. Work is work. It does not have to be soul-crushing, nor must be all, be all smiles, working in sheer ecstasy every day. At the very least, we need to believe in what we are doing, why we were doing it, appreciate the value of who we are doing it with, and enjoy the culture in which we're able to work in on a daily basis. If you're in a job and you go home miserable every day and you can't stand it, then you know you're probably in the wrong place. Now maybe I can hold out, I'll get a raise. No, maybe I'll hold out 3 months, something will get better. You shouldn't go home feeling miserable every day. Nor should we have a work environment where everybody's, I love it, I love it. Yeah, whatever. Okay, that's not real life. We have to realize that as well, too. But you have to have employees that believe in your mission, believe in your values, believe in what they're doing. They do it to the best of their ability. You appreciate it as a company. You value it as a company. And again, create that culture so that people want to be there and they want to produce on a daily basis. Just a few examples of some things, and again, we've already touched on some of these. Obviously, PepsiCo, they have a lot of different brands, a lot of different companies, and they can certainly afford to do a lot more than the average company can do. But they have an employee onboarding site. We talked about that, where people can go right in and pretty much take care of all their onboarding, no matter where they're located at, from whatever computer, before that person ever starts. It's not that expensive, it's not that difficult to set up something similar if you have a good IT department. So an employee onboarding site is something that I recommend for anybody that has the capability to do it. And they give a nice little product basket. So some of you maybe have some sort of products or whatever, but they give out, people that start there, they get a nice little basket every first day with some of their junk. I'll just take the Captain Crunch, you guys can have the rest. But again, that makes you feel at home. That educates you on the company, gets you a little bit more motivated. So if you don't do so already, give them a little bottle of wine. Give them something that would be related to the type of work that you do. Okay? Something that's going to make an impact for them. Radio Flyer, you probably all remember back when you were a kid last week. You had those little wagons, and you fell off them, and you messed up your head, and you started crying, and you never wanted to get back on them again. But they actually give people that started their company a little red welcome wagon. So they get a little miniature version of the wagon, and it has little trinkets and little goodies and little stuff in it like that. They have a long-term onboarding program. Most of it is done online, on the computer. Takes the person pretty much from day one and the steps they need to do to get here, training, coaching, whatever. They have it all spelled out for each person on an individual basis. Now, the thing they like too, they actually have playtime at their work. I've enjoyed that. They actually take time out most days or at certain periodic times during a day or a month where they have half an hour, where they just have playtime. They'll play softball. They'll do whatever. Some fun things that the people can do within an office environment. Okay? So, in my ideal world, we would have playtime from like September through January so I could just focus on fantasy football all day and not have to worry about work. But it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But again, have fun. People can have fun at work. It's, it's not going to hurt the bottom line. It's not going to hurt productivity if people have a little bit of fun for a while. So think about that. Have a little bit of fun.